Guys, deluded, I'm back again. YouTube's Lucas Torreira. Thank you very much for tuning back in. And if you're new, hit the like, hit the subscribe and comment because you're hooked and you're not going to leave now. But moving on, if you guys remember Gedion Zelelem, he's now, he's 21, turning 22 in January, such as the time has flown. We remember when he came here, very hyped up. I mean, people were saying he's ahead of Cess at that age when he was 16, 17. For me, I don't know if I believe that because Cess at 16 was amazing, but what I can say, and I still even maintain now, even though he hasn't kicked on, is that if it was just based on technically, he can fit in. I honestly believe you could play him in the Premier League, and technically, obviously, it will be fast for him and he'll have to adapt, but I think he won't have any problems. His problems is not technically. He's a technically good footballer. I remember one game when he was still 16, 17, he played for the under-23s, or which was the reserves at the time, or whatever they used to call it, against Spurs, and he was one of the better players on the pitch, and you could see he was just lacking physically. And obviously could develop physically a bit, but I don't even think that's the problem. I think his thing is one of them. It's a bit to a degree, like I said the same about Joe Willock, is that they can hack it, they can play the football, they will not look out of place technically, but you want to see a bit more, you want to see a killer pass, you want to see something where you remember that this is the Zelelem show. Zelelem ran this game, and that was a big theme for me when I used to watch him on loan at Rangers. He's hacking it, but you probably wanted him to control the game, to dictate the game, to put his own authority and stamp on the game a bit more, and that's probably why it hasn't happened for him. Obviously, he's been ridiculously unlucky with injuries, both minor and long-term, like his latest one where he got injured at the Under-20 World Cup last year. Probably not got a chance as well, and underwhelming loans. Like I said, Rangers, it was probably his best loan, but didn't really happen for him. He went Venlo, it didn't really happen for him, and he finds himself at 21 years of age, 22, with a year left. If I'm him, I'm probably thinking it's probably best to depart the club. You probably think with all the options that have left the club, Josh Da Silva, Benassia, all of these players that have left the club recently, Rene Adelaide, they've all opened up a space, because these sort of players who you would have thought they lapped Zelelem, which they have, or would have left him to a degree, or would have got chances ahead of him. They've left the club, so that could, on one hand, that could present chances to him. But I look at it as this: he was one of the first players back in pre-season. Obviously, still trying to get his way back to fitness and stuff, so I can't really use this as an example, but it didn't look like Unai Emery has any intention of using him in pre-season. It looks like he's very far off the first team. There's Joe Willock ahead of him. Josh Da Silva, who's definitely ahead of him in the pecking order, in my opinion, has departed the club as well. You've got Ben Shafe, who can play centre-half or central midfield, who's probably in the same boat as him in that he probably needs to go and find a permanent home to play football if it's not going to be Arsenal. He now finds himself at a crossroads, essentially. He needs to get fit again. For all his ability, I hope clubs would take a chance on him, but you could forgive clubs for being reluctant because he hasn't really shown anything in the senior game and he's had injuries. Even if you remember just to typify how highly rated he was, he went on didn't he go on the 2013 tour with all the first team players to America or whatever? By 2014, he made his debut in the FA Cup or whatever. Now we're in 2018 and he hasn't quite kicked on. He hasn't kicked on at all, to be honest. The talent is there, the ability is there for him to have a decent career in a top division, but whether it's at Arsenal or not remains to be seen. If I was him, you'd probably wishing on something like Coquelin, in the sense that you get a chance in the, obviously it's not Coquelin went on loan, but you get a chance in the Carling or the FA when it comes, and you take your chance, and Unai Emery just believes in you and you're the first team now, and it might have took a delay, but you're there now. But I don't know if that will happen. I do believe he's got a year left on his contract. He's got a year left in his deal. He's got Joe Willock ahead of him. Guendouzi is a class above all of these young players at the club. But on the basis that he's a young G, younger than you, and he's in the first team, you've got to use that. You're probably looking at the squad players like El Nene. He's not really there. Maitland-Niles, who was in the same boat as you at a point, I'd say it was probably Crowley, Zelelem, Maitland-Niles, probably Gnabry and Willock to a degree, in the sense that, give or take, around that period, they all were in a group, especially the first three I said, in a group where they kind of left reserve football. It wasn't quite, they needed to kind of kick on into the first team, and it became a case of needing to do that. Maitland-Niles has gone and done that, and Zelelem still finds himself at a crossroads because he really shouldn't be playing under 23 ball at this age. Obviously he's been injured, so again it's not entirely fair on him, but you get what I'm saying, innit? I'd love an underdog story. I'd love him to come out of the wilderness and get his chance and stuff like that. But I'm very pessimistic on that. I must admit he's got strong mentality because he's been knocked down a ridiculous amount of time with these injuries, both minor and the major ones, and he's kept his head and he's come back stronger, to be honest with you. There's no shame in not making it at Arsenal or any other top 6 club, because there's been players more highly rated than you that haven't. There'll be players in the future that haven't. So there's no task in that. The thing what he needs to do now away from Arsenal is probably rise his footballing stock a bit more. Allegedly, Dortmund were onto him last year, so the talent is there. To be fair, he probably just needs a new home, a new environment to regain the confidence and belief if he is lacking that, because I don't know him personally to be saying that, but this is my opinion, innit? So yeah, man, I don't even know the purpose of this vid. If I was just him, Chafe, a couple others, I'd probably depart the club because the chances isn't going to come. Bramwell as well, he's 22 years of age. Apparently, I need to watch the highlights, but he played quite well from people I know that went to the game. He played quite well against Brighton's under 23s on Monday, but he's 22. It's under 23s. Underwhelming loan spell at Birmingham. He'll have a career, and it's a good feel-good story because he's gone from working in a factory to professional footballer, but time's ticking. You went on tour with Wenger, whether Wenger rated you or not, I don't know. But Unai seemingly doesn't have time for that. And what's more telling as well, in the sense that Maitland-Niles is injured, sadly Kohler's injured. There's technically only one left back, and you haven't really trained with, to my knowledge, you ain't trained with the first team. You ain't temporarily been promoted to the first team. You're not on the first team's bench, and if that's your position and there's bodies dropping, surely you gotta ask questions, really and truly, if you're going to have a future here or make it. Like, I believe in honesty. I don't believe none of these players are really dishonest with themselves. I do believe that they look hard in the mirror. By some degree, they probably don't, but and see their chances. I'm pretty sure he knows he hasn't got a future here. I'd love to be proven wrong and for Cohen to have a future here, but I personally just don't. I think he's got ability, but I don't think he has the ability to be at a top 6 club. I really think he's quite basic, in my opinion. He's got a good engine. He's got a good attitude. He stays very committed to his task, but you see the modern day with fullbacks, I don't think he has enough on the ball for what Arsenal need, or if I look at any of the top 6 clubs, I don't think he ain't got it, innit? Like, there's no shame in that. And Birmingham didn't really go to plan as well for him, but my opinion is not a fact. Regardless of what I might think of his ability, I want him to do well, man, because I love an underdog story, and it's about Zelelem. I just used him as an example, so clearly I'm waffling more than I need to. So on that note, guys, deluded, get in the comments, subscribe, and do the rest. I'm out. Thank you very much for watching, man. Thank you. I'm out.